Hello, everyone. Dr. Michelini here to talk to you about fiction, specifically flash fiction. So if you were like me growing up, sometimes flash fiction, fiction, creative nonfiction, they get a little bit confusing. So we are just going to review that right now together. Fiction specifically is literature in the form of prose that describes imaginary events or people. And the emphasis here is on imaginary, okay? These are not real events or people. This is made up. Creative nonfiction is the real stuff, okay? So right now, what we're talking about is stuff that is made up. All right, now there is a subset of fiction that is composed of quick fire stories. So I want to do a little exercise with you. And what I'd like you to do, even though we're asynchronous right now, is think of a story that you know really well. This could be a fairy tale, like think about like a Disney movie you've seen a million times, the plot of a film that you really love, or a book that you've read. And I'd like you to pause this video and try telling that story to someone you know in 1 minute. Go ahead and whip out your phone and try and tell the story in 1 minute. You can even do it to yourself in the mirror if you have nobody to talk to. But see if you can get all the main plot points in, right? Okay, now that you've done that, I'd like you to try it in 30 seconds, all right? So you're going to tell the same story, the same familiar story that you know, except this time with your timer, you're only going to give yourself 30 seconds, okay? You can take a second as you press pause here on this video and think about what might you need to cut out, what might you need to include, that kind of thing. Once you've done that, come on back. And I'd like you to try this exercise one more time in just 10 seconds, okay? Now, this is going to feel next to impossible, particularly if it's a piece that you really love, but I promise you it is possible. Think about a time when a friend has said, "What is that about?" And you only have, a couple of seconds to tell them what the movie is about or whatever. Oh, it's a rom-com. It's really funny, right? That kind of thing. Think about what do you need to say in order to really give a quick synopsis of this story, all right? And then reflect on how easy was that? A lot of people find this task pretty hard. Think about what you cut out between the minute version and the 30-second version. How did you choose what to leave out and what to keep in? In this course, we are going to work with writing flash fiction stories or really, really short stories like this. And it is really important to do an exercise like this and think about what are the main components of the story. You already know this stuff, right? You need characters, you need a conflict, and you need a resolution generally. So something has to go wrong, or there has to be something that needs to be worked out, whether that's with another person, two characters, or whether that's with nature, right? A tornado comes, or whether that is something internal for the character. So they're battling with something inside themselves, right? Struggling with coming out or struggling with an eating disorder or any sort of internal conflict that they might be dealing with, okay? I'm making these things up off the top of my head right now. So don't feel like that's the exclusive list. It's not, all right? A flash fiction is a subset of fiction. Like I said, it's an art form that tells stories in a limited number of words, typically even shorter than what you would consider a short story that you might have read in English 2 or English 1. Pieces of flash fiction are carefully crafted, almost like a poem, to make sure that the reader is engaged, interested, and satisfied, just like a longer story. So they do need to be complete stories, okay? The reason why we get to dabble in flash fiction is because we don't have time during this course to write a whole book. That would be fun, but it would be an entirely different course. So we're going to practice writing stories like this between like 50 and 1,500 words, okay? So these are really, really short, but they do work. They need to have those main components of developed characters and of a conflict and of a resolution of some sort, okay? If you are wondering why it's called flash fiction, you can think about the lightning in the background here. It's because it's a flash in the pan, right? It's super, super quick. One of the most famous pieces of flash fiction is often attributed to the American author Ernest Hemingway, and he wrote the following story: For Sale, Baby Shoes Never Worn. Take a second to think about that. What do you think is going on here? A lot of people fill in the gaps of this story. but it still feels pretty complete as a story, even though it's only 6 words. Now, this is really hard to do, and really hard for, a reader to be hooked by just 6 words, but it's Ernest Hemingway, who was a literary genius, right? So he's better at this than me and you. But basically there's a backstory here, right? Either the baby passed away, a lot of people, go that route, or the baby grew so quickly that they didn't get a chance to wear these shoes. Or maybe they were gifted the same shoes by multiple people and they just have too many pairs, right? Either way, your brain is going to auto fill in those gaps and say, oh my gosh, what a tragedy, or oh my gosh, I know what it's like to be a parent and have a kid growing so fast, or whatever, right? But it's captivating, it's interesting, right? So those are kind of why those 6 words are thought of as a complete story. And you can think about your own way of filling in those gaps as well. What do you think might have come before these words if this was a full story? And what might come after. Now, that about takes us through our introduction to flash fiction here. There'll be a lot more going on in our particular unit and course, so make sure that you pay attention to that. Take care, and I'll see you around.